For the first time in a long, long time, we are going out for an official hike.
Woohoo! Back in New England.
Yeah, reminds us of the good old days where this is all we used to do on the weekends. But now we are headed up to the infamous Pfeifferhorn. I did it about 5 years ago. She's coming up for her first time. And yeah, unlike New England, it's very, very sunny. And so yeah, hopefully we'll find some snow at the top. Be nice and cool, get out of the heat. Here we go.
This route starts out by heading up the White Pine Trail before heading off at the junction to access the Red Pine Fork. It's approximately 5.5 miles to get to the summit of the Pfeifferhorn, and will climb a total of just under 4,000 vertical feet. But between the trailhead and the summit, there's so much more to see. It is crazy for how little we get here in summer, because all winter long I try to get up here as much as possible so I can go backcountry skiing. But it looks totally different now with the snow completely melted. It's pretty wild to see so much destruction from all the snow we got this winter and how heavy it really was.
I forgot how nice this hike is. Even at almost noon, it's primarily in the shade, so that's been fantastic. And well, because we had a super big snowpack and it's been raining monsoon style for the past week, all the trails are like packed down. There's streams running through everything. It's so green. It really does remind us of New England.
Of course, we were out here hiking to get to the summit, but the view of Red Pine Lake is absolutely stunning and worth coming up here just for this alone. But the reason why it's so pristine and so beautiful is primarily because it's a part of the watershed and you're not actually allowed to swim in here, so that's really the reason. Plus, it's probably really, really cold. As we made our way to the other side of the lake, we decided to stop on a rock and have some lunch and take in all the beauty that's around us, but mostly to prepare for what was ahead, which was a very, very steep climb. This area is actually really, really popular for backpackers, and I mean, look at that view. But sadly, we probably won't ever get to come up here because they don't allow dogs, and, well, we don't camp without Gregor. As I mentioned earlier, next up was the start of the really, really steep climbing. Heading from Red Pine Lake to the upper Red Pine Lake was steep in itself, and that wasn't even considered the really steep stuff that we still had ahead. Once we reached the upper Red Pine Lake, we finally got a glimpse of the cirque that surrounded it and all the snow that was still up there here in August. But that was also when we got the first look at the ridge that we had to climb.
Whew. We finally made it to the upper cirque. Got Red Pine Lake right down there, and then some other pretty ones back there. So now we just have the one last steep, steep, steep climb until we're up on the ridge, and then the fun begins. The back of Snowbird over there.
As you crest the ridge, this is the first time you actually get to see the summit of Pfeifferhorn. And I'll be honest, it's a little bit intimidating the first time you get to see it, because that looks difficult. Of course, it's not all huffing and puffing the whole time you're hiking, because there's still tons of beauty to see. Between all the wildflowers that are blooming, and finally getting to see a bunch of mountain goats laying out in the snowfield below us, which was so incredible.
Well, we made it up to the ridge, and now we get our first glimpse of Pfeifferhorn. I know. So it's just a little traverse until we get to the spine. Oh!
After you crest the ridge, the only thing separating you and the summit is a very exposed spine that connects the two ridge lines. This requires scrambling and navigating tricky terrain, and definitely not for the faint of heart. Even though this is the most difficult part, this is hands down the most fun you have on the route. At least for us it was. After you successfully navigate the spine, next up is a very, very steep head wall of loose rock that gets you up to the summit. And if that wasn't tough enough, you're climbing at over 11,000 feet in elevation where the air is getting super thin. Finally, we reached the summit of the Pfeifferhorn together, where you're gifted with a panoramic view of the Wasatch Mountains and Salt Lake below. It is really hard to find a better view than this in the Wasatch, that's for sure. But like all summits, they never last forever, and we headed down quickly after getting up there. Fortunately for us, our little goat friends were all still hanging out in the snowfield, and there was even a little baby along with them.
There's two on the right. I think the one's the baby.
Even though we crossed the spine once already, navigating in reverse proved to be just as tricky because all the moves were completely different as you were climbing up the different side. But nonetheless, it was still a lot of fun, and we navigated it successfully, and we're back on the other side of the ridge. I'd be lying to you if I said the descent was all easy and fun, because my feet were killing me in the new boots I was wearing, and it was a struggle.
Well, there you have it. 8 hours and 11 minutes later, we knocked out 11 miles and 4,000 vertical feet to get to the top of Pfeifferhorn, and an incredible day. My feet hurt. How was your experience?
It definitely made me more confident to hopefully do the Grand Teton this summer.
Hell yeah!